So hi, Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to our fellow lecturer, Madam Ayurita and and fellow classmates. Right, so my name is Zulfikri Naim, and today me and my group we present about sign language, speech and communication repair abilities by children with congenital deaf blindness. Okay, so we're gonna cover four of the subtopic, which is introduction, methods, results, discussion and conclusion. So for the introduction, one trend is that the majority of children with deaf blindness utilize pre-linguistic communication since they rely on vocalization, body language and gestures to convey protest, physical cooperation, calling and answering. Although most children with deaf blindness have pre-linguistic skills, not all children function at such lower levels. Children with deaf blindness, for example, use sign language, gestures, idiosyncratic actions, referential objects and drawings, communication bots, body language and some speech. So there are many types of sign language, but we will only cover two. The first one is speech-based sign language, and the second one is independent sign language. So for speech-based sign language use the parts of human body in three-dimensional space as the physical means of communication. Speech-based sign language represents spoken words and the order of the words or morpheme as they appear in ordinary spoken language. So that's all from me. So I will pass the slide to the next presenter. Thank you.
Hi, I am Siti Nolena and I will continue with the tactile sign language. So tactile sign language is a method or a way of communicating using touch that's used by some children who are both blind or deaf. The deafblind children places their hands over those of the signer to follow what's being communicated through touch and movement. This is sometimes called hand over hand, hand-on signing, or even tracking. The signs are based on British Sign Language, which is also known as BSL, and it includes the deafblind manual alphabet, which is based on the ESL fingerspelling alphabet. This method is particularly used by deaf children and young people who use BSL as their first language before losing their vision. So moving on to the next section, which is methods, and methods consist of two parts, which is participant and data analysis. Okay, so for the points, the first point is the participants consist of 7 people. Participants were videotaped. They were recorded for a few hours during school activities between the participants and their teachers, peers, and the related staff members. Third point is participants were grouped to examine trends based upon age, gender, joint attention, independent or assisted ambulation, and history of prematurity or CHARGE syndrome. The next point is joint attention was defined as reciprocal and mutual focus with someone towards an object, person, or even an event. Last point under methods is since the study had only 7 participants, so only descriptive trends were reported. So for the next section is issues and solutions. So let's start with the first issue, which is unable to communicate with words with the deaf-blindness community, because the deaf-blind community cannot hear or speak. Therefore, this is why sign language should be used as a tool of interaction between this community, and it should be used more frequently, especially around them. The next point is less guidance for the children of said community, which is the deaf-blind children. This is where child-directed exploration comes in, and it will help the people of deaf blindness to recognize and learn more about certain things by having to physically touching them, because some of the community have different ways of learning, and by having to touch them is one of the ways to help them think and know certain objects. For the last issue is difficult to communicate, especially with amputees who are both deaf and blind. So since they are amputees, they cannot use the sign language. They don't have the ability to use sign language. So another solution or method that can be implied is print large block letters on the other person's palm. Each letter is written in the same location on the person's palm. So this is one of a way that is frequently used for deaf-blind people to communicate in the public, other than using sign language, especially for amputees. So that is it for issues and solution. I will pass to the next presenter. Thank you.
Thank you, Naeem and Yana, for the awesome presentation. Well, I'm Parveen Christian here. We'll be discussing about the result based on the analysis of the data above. So, there are three major components that actually affects, or to say foundation that for a deaf-blind people. So, first we have sign language. As you all can see, tactile sign is majorly used by deaf-blind people. People who use one-handed or two-handed tactile sign language. People who grew up using ASL in the deaf community may refer tactile ASL, while others who came from an oral background learned sign language later may prefer a more English-based tactile system. So the picture in the slides explain how tactile system works and what are the definition for it. So in this qualitative method, 7 participants were involved, and 5 people were able to identify the letters that was meant them to be specified. So out of 7, only 5 were managed to identify, and this means that they either lack of knowledge regarding about the words which was assigned to recognize, or could be maybe a reason of they have different language, different sign language that hard for deaf-blind people to differentiate. So one of the main reason is that they are affected by ROP. So ROP stands for the meaning of retinopathy of premature, and also VFL stands for visual field loss. So ROP is an eye disorder caused by abnormal blood vessel growth in the light insensitive part in the eyes, which is called retina, of premature infants. So this ROP generally affects infant borns before 30 weeks of pregnancy. So the symptoms are actually abnormal eye movement called nystagmus, which spells NYSTAGMUS, and cross eye called strabismus. Okay, so in this case, they have problem with identifying the words, and thus they managed to find some. So otherwise, signing did not appear related to the ablution, joint attention, gender, speech, repair skills, or communication matrix level. Following are the 5 ways in which deaf-blindness is crippling for children. So first, communication. Limitation in expressing one's need, and almost there is no two-way communication with family members because they feel like they are having an abnormal lifestyle where they cannot see or maybe listen to the sound. Second, isolation. So they feel left out and they couldn't have a normal activities, ended up they being alone most of the time and deprived from meaningful relationship. The third one would be access. Only information is only accessible through disabled friendly solutions are there for them to help, and which is not easily available to all the children, and thus normal children wouldn't be able to understand disabled children's feelings. Fourth, mobility. Movement from one place to another is challenging and very restricted. Fifth, independence. Living a lifestyle depending on someone, which is the only possible way for them to lead their lifestyle. Second result is speech. Clear speech and deaf-blind manual alphabet plays a major role in deaf-blindness topic. So this deaf-blind manual alphabets is a method of spelling out words on the person with deaf-blind's hand. So it means like with each letter denoted by the particular sign or place on their hand, which you can refer to the first slides. So it means that they use the hand to communicate. So out of 7 participants, 5 participants said or approximately real words, and the others were just guessing it out. So it was difficult for them to identify if the other words were label or request. So as for them, spoken words were used to greet and convey farewell. Most common words such as no, truck, more, book, basket, circles, and etc. were able for them to track. So deaf blindness are singled out educationally because impairment of sight and hearing requires thoughtful and unique educational approach. Their concepts of the world depends upon what or whom they have had the opportunity to physically contact them. The last key is communication repair strategies. Researchers found that deaf-blindness people usually do repetition and additional words or to say repetition and recast sometimes. So this is due to the sign that they easily get distracted or redirect them with the other words. So moreover, lack of knowledge and experience on how to communicate effectively as a different person is one of the disadvantages for them to live in the modern era world. So words such as commands, interpretation were hardly recognized by them. Ask closed questions such as questions that requires a yes or no answer, or if they can't figure it out what they were misunderstood, try repeating the last part slower and more clearly, and this could help them to learn better the words. So otherwise, repair strategies did not appear related to the age, gender, premature, joint attention, charge syndrome, and also for communication matrix level. It is a book for deaf-blindness, teaching basic principle sign language for deaf-blind people. So you may learn the language through the link below. That's all from my part. Thank you so much, and I will pass to the next presenter. Thank you.
My part is results and discussion. So first of all, persons with severe impairments who are not deaf-blind using communication repair techniques comparable to those used by deaf-blind individuals. This is according to Brady et al. In 1995. And this talent may be connected in some way to autonomous ambulation, which is a child-directed exploration skill that may allow a kid additional opportunities to encounter conventional speech patterns. Parents and educators might expect a wide range of skills as children who are deaf-blind develop speech and sign language abilities, specifically, and communication skill more generally. And it is difficult because somehow, however, to know why particular children develop more skills than others. And this data imply that ambulation and age could be factors that contribute to communication skill, but without the ability to study larger groups of children, prediction about communication outcome will remain tenuous. That's all from me. Thank you.